Wednesday morning, 10:23 a.m. You're at your desk. Bachelor's degree on the wall behind you. 4 years, $87,000 in debt. Job title, associate. Salary, $52,000. Next to you sits Jake, no degree. Learned coding on YouTube for 6 months. Same job title, associate. Same salary, $52,000. Zero debt. You're starting at the same place, except you're $87,000 behind. And you'll spend the next 12 years catching up to where he started. I'm 32. I have the degree. I sat in the meetings where they hired Jake. I saw the spreadsheet that shows what happened to our generation. And here's what nobody told you when you were 18 signing those loan papers. Your degree isn't an asset anymore. For most people, it's a liability that compounds backwards. Let me show you what I saw last month. Hiring meeting. We're reviewing 2 candidates for the same role. Candidate A, master's degree, 6 years of education. $120,000 in student debt, 3 years work experience. Candidate B, no degree, 4 years work experience. Online certifications, portfolio of real projects, 0 debt. The room debated for 15 minutes. Then someone said it. Candidate B has been working while A was in school. B has more relevant experience. And B doesn't have debt pressure that might make them jump ship for $5,000 more somewhere else. They hired candidate B and candidate A, still paying off a credential that's worth less than the paper it's printed on. That's not an isolated case. That's the pattern I've seen in hundreds of hiring decisions. Here's the math they don't show you at orientation. Bachelor's degree. Average cost in 2026, $87,000 total, tuition plus living plus opportunity cost of not working. Average starting salary, $52,000. Student loan payment at 6% over 10 years. $967 per month. That's $11,604 per year. For 10 years. Total paid, $116,040. You borrowed $87,000. You'll pay back $116,040. That's $29,040 in interest. Money that will never build wealth. Money that will never compound. Money that goes to a bank, not your future. Now run the other scenario. No degree, 4 years learning high-demand skills. Year 1, entry-level remote work, $35,000. Year 2, mid-level, $48,000. Year 3, specialized skill, $62,000. Year 4, senior, $78,000. Total earned in 4 years, $223,000, minus living expenses. Let's say $120,000. Net, $103,000 saved or invested. Meanwhile, the college student? 4 years, 0 income, $87,000 in debt. The gap after 4 years, $190,000, and that's before the interest compounds. According to a 2025 Georgetown University study, 43% of recent college graduates are underemployed in jobs that don't require a degree. You paid for a credential. The market didn't care. I'm 32. I watched this happen to people I went to school with. Smart people, hardworking people. People who did everything they were told to do. They graduated with honors. They got internships. They networked, and they're making $55,000 with $100,000 in debt, while people who skipped college entirely and learned in-demand skills are making $80,000 with 0 debt and 4 years of compounded savings. The degree promised access. It delivered debt. Here's what changed. 20 years ago, a degree was a signal. It meant, this person can learn. This person can commit. This person is worth training. That was valuable when employers couldn't verify skills easily. But in 2026, you can test someone's coding ability in 30 minutes. You can review their writing portfolio in 10 minutes. You can see their real work on GitHub, Behance, Medium, YouTube. The signal is obsolete. Skills are verified directly. And a degree without demonstrable skills is just expensive paper. I sat in a meeting last year. Leadership discussing compensation. Someone said, "Why are we paying this person $65,000? They have a master's, but they reproducing the same output as someone making $50,000 with no degree." The response? The degree doesn't justify the salary. The output does. Adjust down to market rate or let them leave. That person had $140,000 in student debt. They took the pay cut. Because finding another job that would pay for the credential instead of the skill? Increasingly hard. The market doesn't care what you paid for your education. It cares what you can do. And if you can't do more than someone who learned for free, you're overpriced. Here's the mechanism that traps people. You're 18. Everyone tells you. College is an investment in your future. You believe it. You take the loans. You're 22. You graduate. You're $80,000 in debt. You need a job immediately. Not the best job. Any job that covers the loan payment. So you take the first offer. $48,000. Not great. But you have debt to pay. You tell yourself it's temporary. You'll move up. Except you can't afford to take risks now. Can't quit to find better. Can't take a pay cut for a better long-term opportunity. Can't start a business because you need stable income for the loans. The debt doesn't just cost money. It costs optionality. Every month, $967 goes to the bank. That's $967 you can't invest, can't save, can't use to take strategic career risks. You're locked into safety. And safety, in a changing economy, is the riskiest position of all. Compare that to someone with no degree debt. They can take a $45,000 job that teaches valuable skills because they don't have loan payments. They can quit a bad situation because they're not debt-trapped. They can start a side business because they have financial breathing room. They have what you don't, options. And options, in 2026, are worth more than credentials. Let me show you the most brutal part, degree inflation. When everyone has a bachelor's, jobs that used to require a high school diploma now require a bachelor's. Jobs that used to require a bachelor's now require a master's. Not because the job got harder, because degrees became the default filter. So you get a master's, another $40,000 in debt, 2 more years out of the workforce, and when you graduate, the market has moved again. The skills you learned in your master's program are already outdated. The software changed. The frameworks evolved. The industry shifted. And you are reholding a credential from 2024 trying to get hired in 2026, while someone who spent those 2 years working has 2026 skills, learned on the job, for free, with a paycheck. I'm 32. I have a bachelor's degree. Took me 7 years to pay it off. 7 years of $800 a month, $67,200 total, for a degree that got me my first job. But not my second, not my third, not my current position. Those came from skills I learned after college, on the job, through online courses, through real projects. The degree opened one door. Cost me $67,200. The skills I learned for free opened 10 more doors, and paid significantly better. If I could go back, I'd skip the degree. Take those 4 years. Learn high-demand skills, build a portfolio. Start working at 19 instead of 23. And invest the $67,200 I spent on loans. At 8% return over those 7 years, that $67,200 becomes $115,000. That's not hindsight. That's math. Here's what you're not being told. The education system is optimized for the education system, not for you. Universities need enrollment to survive, so they sell the narrative. Degree equals success, but the data shows something different. According to the Federal Reserve, the average lifetime earnings premium for a college degree has dropped 25% since 2000. Meanwhile, the average student debt has increased 180%. You're paying more for less return. That's not an investment. That's a trap. I watched someone have a breakdown last month. 28 years old, $130,000 in student debt, bachelor's plus master's, making $58,000. Loan payment, $1,420 per month. Take home after taxes, $3,800. After loan payment, $2,380. For rent, food, transportation, life. In an expensive city, not enough. They're living with roommates, eating ramen. Can't save, can't invest, can't take career risks, can't start a family, can't buy a house, trapped by a decision they made at 18, a decision everyone told them was smart. And now they're realizing the degree isn't helping them get ahead. It's keeping them behind. Here's the part that makes me angry, not at the person, at the system. When you're 18, you can't get a credit card with a $5,000 limit. Too risky. Might not pay it back. But you can sign up for $100,000 in student loans. Non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. Follows you forever. And nobody asks if you understand what you're signing. Nobody shows you the math. Nobody explains that $100,000 at 6% over 20 years is $240,000 total. Nobody tells you that the job you're going to school for might not exist in 4 years, or might not pay enough to justify the debt. They just hand you the pen and say, everyone does it. It's an investment in yourself. And you believe them because you're 18, and everyone you trust is saying the same thing. Two paths diverged in 2022. Person A went to college, graduated 2026, $95,000 in debt. Starting salary, $54,000. Person B skipped college, learned data analysis online, started freelancing 2022. By 2026, $82,000 salary, zero debt, $47,000 saved. Same age, same intelligence, same work ethic, different paths. Person A is $142,000 behind Person B and will spend the next 15 years trying to catch up. If they ever do. That's not a failure of Person A, that's a failure of the narrative that told them the degree was the only path. Here's what the degree actually gets you in 2026. Access to certain jobs that still require it. Doctor, lawyer, engineer, teacher. For those paths, the degree is mandatory. And the ROI can still work. Emphasis on can. If you finish, if you get licensed. If the market for your specialty doesn't crash. For everyone else, the vast majority of jobs, the degree is optional, and increasingly, it's a disadvantage. Because while you were in school accumulating debt, someone else was in the market accumulating skills, experience, and capital. Stop here for a second. If you have student debt right now, what's your monthly payment? Drop the number in the comments. Because I need you to see you're not alone in this. And the system that put you here is broken. Now let me show you what happens next. The education industry is collapsing. Not immediately, but inevitably. Because the ROI doesn't work anymore for most people. And eventually, enough people figure it out. Enrollment at traditional universities dropped 8% from 2020 to 2025. Online learning platforms grew 340% in the same period. Community colleges and trade schools are seeing record enrollment because people are doing the math. And the math says 4 years of debt for a credential the market doesn't value is a bad deal. The market is voting with their feet and their wallets. Here's what I tell people now. I'm 32. I've hired people with degrees. I've hired people without degrees, and I can tell you from the inside. The degree gets you past automated filters. That's it. Once you're in the interview, nobody cares. They care about, can you do the work? Can you prove it? Do you have examples? And if the answer is yes, the degree is irrelevant. If the answer is no, the degree doesn't save you. It just makes you an expensive candy with potential instead of a cheaper candidate with proof. Final truth. If you're 18 right now deciding about college, here's what I wish someone had told me. A degree is not an investment. It's a gamble. You're betting that the job market in 4 years will value your credential. The skills you learn will still be relevant. The debt will be justified by the salary. You'll finish. You'll get hired in your field. None of those are guaranteed. And if any of them fail, you're still holding the debt. That's not an investment. That's risk without reward. There's another path. Learn high-demand skills. Build a portfolio. Start working early. Prove your value with results, not credentials. Save the money you would have spent on tuition. Invest it. And by the time your peers graduate with debt, you have skills, experience, capital, and options. They have a piece of paper and a payment plan. The degree trap isn't about education being worthless. Education is valuable. The trap is believing the only way to get education is through a $100,000 credential, when the real education, the skills that actually matter, are available for free or cheap, and don't come with 20 years of debt attached. You're not behind because you didn't go to college. You're ahead because you didn't take the debt. And you're not successful because you have a degree. You're successful despite it, because you paid for a signal the market stopped reading. The degree promised a better life. What it delivered for most people is a payment plan. And payment plans don't build wealth. They delay it for decades. While someone without the degree and without the debt is 10 years ahead in the only race that matters, the race to financial freedom. And freedom doesn't care about your GPA. It cares about your balance sheet.